Good evening, brothers and sisters. Let us start. Let's sing Channel of Content. For opening prayer, I request Bea.
Evening.
Bea.
Good evening, everyone. Chin Chin.
Bea. Bea.
Sorry po. Ako po ba kaya? Okay. Please join me in my prayer. So, good evening to our most loving Heavenly Parent and victorious parents of heaven and humankind. Loving Heavenly Parent and true parents, as we begin our session for today, Heavenly Parent, we would like to express first our love and gratitude to you. Thank you very much, Heavenly Parent, for granting us this opportunity together, once again, together with our beloved brothers and sisters in with you, elders and lecturers, Heavenly Parent. We're very much grateful as well that you have given us this platform, Zoom Heavenly Parent, to meet and do this and conduct this online EP lectures series, Heavenly Parent. And we pray, Heavenly Parent, that as we listen and as we go on with the session for the day, may we be able to prepare our hearts and ourselves, Heavenly Parent. Open up not only our minds, Heavenly Parent, but as well as our hearts to receive your words, Heavenly Parent, and that it may help us to deepen our faith, Heavenly Parent, and understand more deeply your reality, Heavenly Parent, and then the urgency that we of the time that we're living right now, Heavenly Parent. Also, Heavenly Parent, we would like to pray that may you um, bless and help our lecturers to really give their best as they share the lectures, Heavenly Parent, and may you use them as your instrument to really deliver to us the message that you want us to learn from heaven. Thank you very much once again, Heavenly Parent. And we like to sincerely ask and pray all these things to you on behalf of my brothers and sisters here in your parents' name and in my name, generation, daughter of Sylvia Gatara Central Family.
Ju.
Hello.
Alright, so magandang good evening sa lahat. Um, PTA lecturers and Ate Feli, welcome. Ah,
Ate Feli.
tayo. So, open your, turn on your camera. Please, thank you. Nawal si Randy. So, Ate Corazon, kay Aki, problem yung cam niya, Jinky. How about si Ate Corazon, si Bea, si Aki-san? Alright. Di rin pwede sa Ate Corazon. Okay, sige. So, art. First art. Um, 1, 2, 3, Alhamdulillah. Next session 2027 and the Victory Rally of Hope. Sungni, Sungni, Sungni. All right, thank you so much, brother. So um, welcome to our another session. This is our 19th day. So 2 meetings na lang and we're gonna end this fourth batch 21 days. Yes. Congratulations in advance. And but we still have a few lectures tonight and next meeting.
We will then
And
miss everybody.
yeah, we're gonna miss you. Kasi after 21 days, we never know when we will meet again online. Maybe we can meet again through BFD seminars, some of the BFD seminars. But I'm not there. So. Okay,
Sana may
so
mag-join sa Opta, kuya.
Sir Herwin, tinatanong nila kung kung
I,
mag-exam daw sa last, Thursday.
yeah, we have final exam. Iba tayo? Yeah, we have final exam. After next meeting, we have final exam. After the lecture of Tita Dulce, then
Tinatanong kasi ni ni Miss Eva kung may exam daw sila ni Eva. Tapos sabi ko, oo. Eh, kaya kailangan, alam din ng iba, may exam lang ng Thursday.
don't
Ano
worry,
mo
because
mauuna?
very easy. Um, lecture first is the lecture of Tita Dulce, then after that. Anyway, it's easy. So pretty much, ganun. Okay, so this evening, since we are done with the whole chapter of the divine principle, and we will proceed now to ano siya, heavenly tradition. Heavenly tradition. Let me share my screen. Okay, heavenly tradition. Why is it important? We need to study and we need to learn the tradition of your parents. Because when we look at the history of like in different nations, right? If their culture will gone, if they will not continue the culture until the in the first century, nowadays the problem is the nation will decline. Like for example, here in the Philippines, we have this extended family, and then we don't have we have this extended family. But if we follow the culture of American, that's this actually a problem. So I hope that we will not lose this kind of culture as a Filipino. It actually bounds the relationship between families, right? Unlike in America, because if you are 18 years old, if you reach 18 years old, then you will live outside of your family. You will live by your own. You will find your job. Yeah, live by yourself. So it's kind of difficult for the child, for both of them. So they were not able to realize. So same here. Why we need to study the tradition of the parents. Without the tradition, for sure, the Unification Church will decline. I've heard this one of the speeches of the parent, the father, talking about tradition. And yeah, the ritual also during Hundoke about the tradition. So and the difference the difference between true parents tradition and the outside tradition is really there's a huge difference, right? We are following the tradition of true parents. We are following the tradition of the Messiah. We're in it is the tradition also of God that we need to embody. Unlike the outside tradition, really, it's Satan's tradition. So we have to, in our, especially us, um, especially like, of course, it is already established, followed by the blessed family. But we as a single, like mga single, yeah, there are different traditions. We also have this is also our preparation, so that when we enter in the family, we could also um, build an ideal family following this heavenly tradition of preparing. Really, really important. It is the only way also for us to continue the lineage of God, the way of life that we should be doing to continue of the same life, the same way of life our true parents have done. So what are these? The question is, what are these traditions? First is major holiday are the major holidays. These holidays, it is declared in accordance with the, like, because we all know that Father is following also with the numerical uh, period, right, in establishing like foundation of faith and substance. So it has a significant why it is that it is declared in this specific time, because uh, it is also in accordance with the principle of restoration. So as member, we have to follow these major holidays. These are the major holidays that declared by True Parents, like True Parents Day, 1960, to Children's Day. So it's when you observe, right, that walang True Parents Day sa, ano ba, merong Mother's Day, merong Father's Day, pero walang True Parents Day. Right? Kaya lang, True Children's Day. Children's Day. But yung true na word, like, day of all true things, lalo na to, walang ganito sa outside world. The outside world, we don't have this day of all true things. This is only in used by followed by by the members. So it was declared by true parents. Through God's day, especially through God's day. Through parents' birthday, we have Foundation Day of the Nation for the Unified World in 1988. Declaration of God's Day of God's Eternal Blessing, Chin Il Jul, 1991. And Declaration of the Realm of Cosmic Sabbath for the parents of heaven and earth, Chin Pal Jul, 1997. So if this holiday comes, so you have to attend this very important holiday. Yeah. And ngayon kasi it is parang pinag-isa ni mother, right? I'm not sure the exact information about why is it. Anyway, there is a purpose why mother did it. Well, maybe later our lecturers can explain more. Other lectures. So major holidays. Next is the family pledge. First day in the morning, like we have the yeah. This is the okay family pledge, the pledge service. Okay, if we have holidays, and this is there significance of pledge service, attending God and true parents. B, the indemnity condition to restore Peter's pre-denial of Jesus. So in bowing, originally 3 times, but today only 1 time bowing down. So since I was witness 2010, I never knew this 3 times. Uh, I think our blessed families, they knew about it. But when I came to the movement, when I went to the movement, I only like this 1 time bowing. And so yeah, attending God and true parents, this pledge service. And number two, time. It is also important that when we attend like those holidays during the pledge service, it starts with on holidays it starts with 7 a.m. But I don't know now, 6, 8, not sure. 8. Holidays start with 7 a.m. and Shiel and first day of each month, 5 a.m. So time is very important also. That before the pledge start, you are you were there already. At least 10 minutes before, like even hondoke. That's actually my nature. If I don't like late, so even I learned this in I was in high school. Kasi pag malate ako, I cannot cope up the lecture of or the discussion of my teacher. So I can't understand. So I have to uh, come early in the class. at least 10 minutes before the class start. So same, I always have this kind of like this is my also my culture as my and be myself. So it also important. It is also important when the pledge happens, then we should come early because also it is a preparation and it is also like if you are really sincere in attending God, then like at least you shouldn't be late, right? Yeah, I mean that's basic. And yes, we have dress code. When I was in IPLC, all the brothers wear, ano, some of the brothers, not all, some of the brothers wear, even Hundoket, you wear a suit. Yeah. And now I don't know. I don't know. Bihira lang ako nakakita ng you're wearing suit. Dress code is also important. It is also like sinabi ko nga, attending ng true parents. Usually yung sinusuot is white. When you go to Hongpyeong, mga babae usually white and lalaki they're wearing suit. So yeah. Hindi lang basta-basta yung dapat yung mga sinusuot is malinis. They're clean, neat, like that. Hindi yung sinuot mo kagabi tapos susuotin mo. So yeah, dress code. Seems like you're having a date with someone, like with your spouse, and you have to prepare well, right? You have a date with your spouse, and then so same with God. If you're really excited and you really like have to wear my best suit. God, it's our sincerity in devotion to your parents. Next, we have services like Sunday service. Yeah, Sunday service offers an opportunity for me to offer myself to God, dividing the good and evil in my mind. This is an especially appropriate time to offer repentance to God for the past week and to affirm my determination to serve Him in the coming week. Uh, Sunday service also. Napaka-importante din. We have to attend Sunday service. Like it is a new determination within the week. And sabi nga ni Father, Sunday service is a battle between God and Satan. And you have to offer everything in that day to God and pray for the next week or for the coming week that it will become fruitful. It's dividing the good and evil in our mind. So yeah, and then to listen the sermon of our leaders. So number two, daily services. Anong daily services? I think hundoke. Sabi yung hundoke. Yung wala sinabi. Daily services is like hundoke. So basically, sinabi ko kanina, napaka-importante din. It strengthens our life of faith when we struggle and then just it's very fortunate for us kasi early in the morning we studied the God's words, right? Studied God's words. And like outside, you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, and you go to work without even thanking God. Thank God for the day. Even me, myself, that's my experience. Then, yeah, you will not be guided. So here, our daily services are Honduke. It really serves and help us to strengthen our life of faith. Receiving an inspiration daily from our leader, and we will be guided. Fortunately now, kasi actually I'm grateful here in headquarters because a lot of us are attending Honduke. Unlike unlike before, we are like only five. Yeah, this is the truth. So if they could hear this one day, it's okay. All
Sad
right, so
reality, huh?
that's exactly that's what's happening before. And yeah, but I'm very grateful right now. A lot of brothers and sisters. Yep. So next is tithing. Yun. We don't have money, but we have to tithe. That's the thing. Significance of tithing comes from the biblical tradition of donating one tenth of one's income to God. So this is not only the tradition of unification, but it is also the tradition from the Bible. So yeah, it is also written in the Bible. So from the very beginning, um, people are already offering to God, right? When they praise God, they offer something. The Unification Church tradition of tithing also includes making offering with an attitude of attendance to God. Our donation to serve God and the world by providence should be our first priority. So yeah, this is our offering to God, attendance to God. So it also helps the providence of God. Uh, so yes, that's the significance of tithing. And what are the amounts of tithe? So here, since originally all things belong to God, our minimal attitude of attendance should be to offer at least one tenth of all our things to God, 10%. Through this conditional offering, the remaining 9 tenths of our possessions become godly. So yun, 10% we can offer to God. But in September 1991, ito yung nangyari. Father initiated the tithe of 30%. Why? Kasi 10% for the world level, 10% for the national level, and 10% for the church level. So if the our headquarters like offer 30% to the international headquarters, 10% of that 30% will comes back to the other headquarters. Our babalik sa amin. So 30%. So all of us should um, offer at least 10%, at least 10% of, because yeah, according to this testimony of our blessed families, that when we offer something, when you offer your 10% to God, then it will comes back to you even hundredfold. It's just that I hope that offering it with sincerity. That's the thing. That's the important. So now there are, so that's the amount of tithe, 10% or 30%. Now there are different types of tithe, not only money. So here, sinabi dito, tithe of time. So God anticipates a minimum donation of 3 tenths of our time as a commitment to fulfill His will. So hindi lang pera, di ba sabi sa B, financial tithes, we should donate 3 tenths or at least 1/10 of the net amount of our income. Hindi lang financial but also our time. So investing our time to God must also be importante. Kasi you are helping the province, right? Like substantially. Uh, Yan, like mga nagmi-mission, mga full time, you know, their time to God. Although not all people, like, di naman talaga, like, sabi nga, hindi lahat, hindi sa dulo magiging full time. All of us are established family or our own family and make our own house like that. But before that time comes, at least we can offer our time to God, our commitment to God, our devotion to God. Just simple attending um, services and like participating some events, yun actually importante na yun. Matutuwa na talaga si God. God would really happy. So, C, holiday donations. The amount of money offered is an individual decision. However, it is recommended to offer the amount of principal number. So during holiday donations, this is depende, voluntarily individual. But you have to offer in a principled number like 40, 120, 210, 400, 2,000. So significant numbers, 120. So during the holiday donations. Then next, so yun yung three types, and let's proceed to indemnity fund. Fallen people owe a debt to God because of the denial, betrayal, and murder of the Messiah. Jesus, so Jesus, Judas sold Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Each Unification Church member must fulfill a condition of offering indemnity funds 4 times. So actually, I don't know exactly what this was, so I would like to ask some of the lecturers. Sorry for that. I would like to ask Adelina. Adelina, more information or explanation about the indemnity fund. Indemnity fund, eh? Nakamute ka, te. Naabutan nyo
Yung
to, te.
indemnity fund. Oo, yung indemnity fund, kasama pag kasama to sa condition in dati sa amin, kasama siya sa condition before receiving the blessing. Pag mag-apply ka ng blessing, ay pag, di ba, pagkasali ka na ng blessing, kasama yan sa
Ah,
notes.
yun ba yun? Yung blessing
Hindi,
yun ba
hindi
yun?
siya
Ay ba yun?
it's equivalent to siya 30, 'di ba? It's equivalent to the 30 pieces of silver that
Hmm.
is wherein Judas sold Jesus Christ. So itong 30 pieces of silver na to para ma-indemnify siya. So binabayaran siya times 4 siya for direction. Yun yung pagkakatanda ko. Kaya siya, it's equivalent to 100, $120. So, yun. Kasi dollar siya. Alam ko dollars namin binayaran yun eh. So, 30 pieces of silver. So, may binayaran kaming ganyan na $120 sa
Is this for ano, te?
times 4.
Single or blessed?
Dati may ganun, ewan ko, basta alam ko meron kaming ganyan na binayaran eh. Times 4 siya for direction, north, south, east, west. East, west. Parang gano'n. Yun yung pagkakaintindi ko noon na, so we paid for this.
Iba yung blessing na
Uh,
blessing.
iba yung blessing fund.
Iba.
Parang ito kasing indemnity fund, parang diretso siya sa IHQ. And then parang part of yung ginamit dun sa pagkakatanda ko, part dun sa ginamit dun sa pagpapatayo ng Chongpyo, yung yun, is galing sa indemnity fund. Parang ganon. Na hindi mo po pwedeng, yun yung, ewan ko, hindi ko lang alam kung na-mix up ko, pero ganon ko siya naintindihan. So, parang hindi pwedeng galawin ito ng kahit sino eh. Diretso to sa, ganun ko siya naintindihan. Although, hindi ko alam baka na-mix up ko siya nga sa ibang Pero ganun ko siya naintindihan na even yung national hindi niya to pwedeng galawin sa international headquarters ng diretso.
Indemnity fund is
Parang,
just likened to our minimal indemnity condition for our connection to true parents. Kaya it is a direct offering to true parents so that we can indemnify yung niya sa atin pag-liberate niya sa atin. Kaya sabi niya dito is just like to indemnify the 30 pieces of silver na pinambayad kay Judas nung binenta niya si Jesus Christ. So tayo rin as a fallen people, in order for us to indemnify that, we needed to offer our indemnity fund to true parents so that we cannot, our blessing will not be claimed by Satan.
Mm,
So it's directly to true parents na ano yan, to support true parents activities naman yung ano.
okay.
Ganun ko siya, ay, ganun, basta ganun yung pagkakaintindi ko. Parang, hindi pwedeng galawin kahit national yan. Diretso yan dun sa,
Okay.
kung
Thank you
ano
so
man yung
much.
ginagawa ng true parents, para yun doon, hindi siya, yun, ganun siya.
Okay, at least I'm clear now. So now let's proceed to, so let's indemnify, okay, pay indemnity through offering expansion. Next, holy songs. So ito yung holy songs. Kakanta natin holy song. 40 holy songs. Singing holy songs is like a prayer with melody. We should sing it meditating on the heart and situation of God and through parents. Then we can feel unity with them in heart. So ako talaga napaka-importante yung holy song. So even in the Catholic Church, according to the priest, when the first thing that the first I don't know. Ang unang naririnig ni God is yung singing ng song, worship song. Mga choir, sila yung unang ano ni God, like appreciate ni God. But same here, holy songs is like a prayer with melody. So it's a prayer with melody, and we have to sing it wholeheartedly. Sabi nga, when you sing holy song, we have to sing it solemnly. Sabi sa book of tradition. You should feel the heart of God. Kasi a holy song was made by Father after the I think not but Father made holy song like Garden of Restoration, Song of the Victors in 1947. Ito yung mga ginawa ni Father na holy song. This Song of Inspiration, 1950. Blessing of Glory, 1950. Suffering Heart in Busan, 1951. Grace of the Holy Garden. So this 1953. Song of the Principal Soldier, also February 1959, and Unified Soldiers, 1960. So when Father became victorious in such event, so Father was going to make a holy song. So napaka-importante siya. The holy song, sabi, according to our blessed families, that the holy song should not be brought inside the restroom. CR. Bawal, bawal na bawal ka. So, yeah, that's the importance of holy song. It's like also the same, it is also the same with prophetic scripture. So now, holy salt significance in order to purify the environment of all things. Like pag bumibili ka ng isang bagay, di ba? We have to sanctify it through holy salt. Using holy salt, so ganito ang paggamit niya. From the declaration ceremony for the beginning of the nation of the fourth Israel, August 20, 2003. When we are going to use the trinity of holy salt, we should sprinkle the holy salt 3 times as if in the past and pray. Pray like this. I sanctify this in the name of the cosmic parent and the parents of heaven, earth, and future family. And my name, honor of Chinalgo. So if you will use the holy salt, dapat you have to meron yan siyang pattern like north, south, east, and west. Then 3 times pag sprinkle. You have to form a cross, north, south, east. Pray muna bago yun. Pray and then sprinkle. So, dito sa HQ din, lahat ng binibili namin, we have to sanctify through Holy Spirit. Napaka-importante siya. Kasi, yeah, purify things from the outside world. Kasi, especially during holidays, tapos bibili kami ng we bought fruits, and then before we offer it in the altar, we have to clean it, clean and then sprinkle also, so that it will be like purified and offered to God. Friends. So now that's the result. Now holy ground. Symbolically, holy grounds are God's territory. So 1965, Father established holy ground, but before 1962 already other members, disciples of True Father, established already a holy ground. It's already the direction of True Parent. True Father himself um, made a holy ground 1965. That was after the blessing 1960. Kasi 1960 is a blessing of True Parentship, so which means um, it is now ready to offer the land, the creation to God. When, kasi na-bless na sila si Father tsaka si Mother. 1965, it is now okay to offer holy land to God, and that is the holy ground. So in our prayers, we should visualize holy grounds extending over the whole nation and ultimately the whole world. A holy ground is a representative area of a nation or a city. It is God's place, a place where He is more free to hear our prayers. So while reading the tradition, book tradition, sabi doon that as much as possible, we should bought the land kung saan nandun yung holy ground. Should bought. Yeah. As much as possible. Kailangang, it's owned by us. And so, yes, this is a very napaka-holy na place. We could, sabi nga, your prayers will like easily heard by God. And mas maganda yung holy ground, yung dapat maganda yung tawag nito, yung place kung saan. Same with sa IPLC kasi napakaganda niya. Like Chongpyong. You have to climb in the mountain. And then the holy ground is there. And you could see the Laguna Lake mountains there. So yeah, holy grounds. It also symbolizes, represents uh, in one place, like for example Manila. Then we have holy ground here. So that holy grounds represents all Manila. Bohol, that holy grounds represents all Bohol. So it is very ano, we should take care, sabi ni Father, we should take care, clean it always, sabi ni Father. While reading uh, the book. Kaya, ganun ka-importante yung holy grounds. Next, so the Unification Church symbol, anong meaning niya? Circles, the center circle symbolizes God, truth, life, and light. These four elements reach out or radiate to the whole cosmos in 12 directions. So it was made by Father, and yung significant niya, there's a meaning of it, God. So the outer circle represents the harmony of give and receive action. Ito, give and receive action. And the principle of cosmos. So this is the principle of creation, the give and receive action. All things have this give and receive are in harmony. Kaya nilagay ni Father yun. Then the square represents four position foundation. Square inside the circle. Then colors, white, red, red represents power, energy, and positivity, while the background color symbolizes purity and holiness. Background. So yun. I think that's the meaning of this symbol. This is like parang kung titingnan mo lahat ng bagay, it begins with here. This kind of symbol. God is the center and the purpose and foundation, and we give and receive action. This is the formula, right, of the principle of creation. When we studied chapter one, that's the meaning of all things of this follows this unification church. Now, Hondoke pa rin ganun. Ano pa rin delicious? I'm sorry for that. Anyway, yep. Hondoke means dok. Hon means teaching. Dok means reading. And means gathering. Hondoke materials are the completed testament message directly from God. We have such an absolutely priceless word. We should value it and not only value it for ourselves but spread it to others. So yeah, I'm right. Tama ako kanina. Hondoke is part of the daily service, and here the meaning of Hondoke is gathering and reading. So, napaka-importante siya. Sabi ko nga kanina, it also, kailangan ito yung, this is the tradition that shouldn't be God. Kasi, really, ito lang yung pinagkaiba natin sa ibang. Although meron silang, they have also this morning service after. They have also this Hondoke. But not all of them are following. So, I hope we, as a member of the Unified Church, until the end of our life, until the generations and generations will come, it will always and always be followed. So if we will not do hunduke, we are actually like declining the providence of God. We should do hunduke, and we should encourage our brothers and sisters how important hunduke is. Okay, then here, education tradition. Napaka-importante yung education as a members, especially like mga before um, we bless, before we get blessed, and then before we start a family, we undergo certain education, right? Certain education or training as preparation. So here, sinabi nito, you need to pass through the course a, of a day, 3-day training, 7 days, 21 days, and 40-day training. So yun, may mga seminars dati na may 3 days, 7 days, 21 days. Kailangan pagdaanan talaga 'to. Even if you are buti nga ngayon we are 'di ba in the BFP, we encourage them to attend 21 days kasi it is really part of like also understands the value of it and more about blessing. So the 3 days is a period of separation. The 7 days is a period of self-realization. 21 days form a family level foundation, and the 40-day form a society level foundation. So, I attended all of it. So, 120 days. So, in this world centering on the family, in order to understand social relationship, we undertake the 40-day training. In the 40-day training, we teach everything by going out fundraising and going out witnessing so that we can lead the whole of society, right? If you want to achieve perfection as a Unified Church member, as a member of the Unification family, you have to pass through this course. So this certain course that we need to undergo. Sa dati nga merong ano, 'di ba? 7 years, 7 years, 7 years. Pero ngayon hindi na masyado bago ka mag-ano, ay hindi pa 3.5 years pala. Before ka ma-bless, you have to undergo 3.5 years fundraising and 10 years witnessing. Ngayon, kahit bago ka lang sa movement, pwede ka na maka-receive ng blessing. But it is actually better na we had to undergo 3 days, like the 7 days, seminars, training. It's actually developed our life of faith towards experiences. Then next is 40 day. Within this 40-day period, you have to grasp how you need to live as an individual, how your family needs to live, and how you can connect the clan and your people to your family as a family centered in God's will. If you can understand this, then you don't need me anymore. You don't need to pray. So this 40 days. Lahat ba nakapag 40 days na? Actually, hindi pa ako nakapag 40 days. We should have this goal na importante siya actually. Kaya paano ko rin 40 days in Chong. 20 days na dito sa Pilipinas pero 40 days na. Yes. So if you can understand this, then you don't need me anymore. You don't need to pray even. But you're not able to understand this. You have to understand all these things. Then, however, if the person doesn't know anything, he has not even had a 7-day training. So yun. Yet you direct him to do all sorts of things. This is actually very bad. Oh, di pala maganda. So, okay, so mga hindi pa nakapag 7 days, 3 days, please volunteer ourselves. Let's volunteer ourselves that I want to attend 3 days, 7 days. All those training. 7 days, oh, may 7 days ba? So, gusto ko mag 7 days. So, yet, if someone completes a 40-day training, he will understand the path he has to go and have the same heart towards it as the one who is responsible for him. Then even if you direct these people to do certain things, they will not feel pain or anguish in their heart, no matter how difficult it is. Rather, they will say, this is the path I have to go. My path will lead to something after this. This is because they understand everything they need to. So if we understood this, the importance of these courses that in developing our life of faith, then yeah, let's volunteer ourselves. Sa mga hindi pa nakapag training ng ganito. I think everybody siguro. Okay, so that's the end of the lecture for tonight. So I hope, brothers and sisters, let's always follow the tradition of your parents. Kung titingnan naman natin is, maganda naman siya, di ba? Actually, magkaroon tayo ng more connection kay God. I've always realized that those things na kailangan talagang i-follow siya eh. And sa generations din, kailangan hindi siya mawala talaga. Mundo kailangan mag-attend talaga. Kailangan. Kasi simulan mo na yan ng isang beses, mahirapan ka na, and then, magiging ano mo na yan, ayaw kong maghundok kung ayaw mo rin. Parang ganun. Anyway, this is the only way that also strengthens strengthens the movement and develop our self towards God. And kung titingnan mo kasi, tinuturo siya within the family. So, it will become a natural for the children. If you establish this tradition within your family. So, you will not be able to, hindi ka na mahirapan mag-raise sa mga anak mo. Kasi nga tradition. So, after 7th generation, if we have this kind of culture, we have this kind of tradition, madali na lang siguro yung restoration. Di ba? Kailangan hindi talaga siya mawala eh. Nirealize ko talaga yan. Pag mawala talaga yan, ako, delikado. Like we inherit the 21st century culture, it's not really good for us. We shouldn't cut those Satan's tradition and we should establish the tradition of God and the tradition of true parents. All right, thank you very much. So after this one, you we have to watch video. True Father's Life Course, Parents Life Course. Ano siya, isang oras. 1 hour and 5 minutes. So time is 8:30. We're gonna end 9:30. Wait, sorry, wala akong masyadong power kasi yung fasting. Lahat naman tayo fasting, di ba? Pause.
Opo, lahat tayo fasting.
Yeah. All right, this is another tradition. And I want to emphasize another tradition. Sabi ni ano narinig ko at the tradition of the blessing, the tradition of matching and then blessing. Latang gutom. Sabi natin. Minutes, hindi mo na. Okay. Wait lang, sandali. So, yung tradition ng matching tsaka blessing, yun ang dapat. Isa din sa dapat nating gagawin. That's why yun lang talaga eh. Para ma-inline tayo kay God. And God will be very happy. Where is the... Right here. So, let's watch True Father's Life and Works. Marami tayong matutunan dito. Let's go.
Vast universe, beautiful earth, the dream of a peaceful, ideal world. This is the long-cherished dream of God and humanity. In the shoes of a servant, with the heart of the parents, shedding sweat for earth, tears for humanity, and blood for heaven. The man who has spent his entire life for God's homeland, Reverend Sun Myung Moon. Reverend Moon is now revered as the true parent to humanity, the savior to the world, the king of peace of the cosmos, and the model saint before heaven.
Without him, there would be no Washington Times, and I think it's appropriate that we pay our respects to him.
I respect Reverend Moon with all my heart. I wish for God's will to be fulfilled.
The activity of Reverend Moon is very important.
I think that Father and Mrs. Moon stands as a great example of the unity of the family.
16세 범으로 천명을 받고 출발했던 하늘길이었습니다. 해고해보면 본인의 삶은 참으로 외롭고 고독한 외길의 일생이었음을 고백하지 아니할 수 없습니다.
Ten months after the 3.1 Korean independence movement, Reverend Moon was born in Jeongju of Pyongan, Bokdo on January 6, 1920. Reverend Moon was a boy full of curiosity. He befriended nature, spending his days roaming the mountains and rivers. He was also quite mature, always thinking of others before himself.
고기를 잡으러 가면 고기 구멍에 시꺼멓질해가지고 뱀장굴 가서 입에다 물고 나고 내죠. 손을 잡으면 매끈매끈해서 못 잡는다. 근데 우리 오빠가 지지 세낭 차렸단 말이야. 이렇게 바디가락에다가 쟤는 이렇게 고기다가 가지고 한무살이 지질 잡아가지고 고선 허세나 너 이거 먹어라. 그래서 잘 먹으시오.
However, the nation was groaning in misery under the Japanese rule. His hometown, Jeongju, was on the path of refugees, running toward Manchuria. Reverend Moon's family was renowned for giving charity to those in need. His great-grandfather even left a saying, "If you feed people from all over the nation, the blessings of the nation will come to you." And thus, Reverend Moon's house became a place where the refugees tired from their journey could stop to eat food and rest. Having been raised with this kind of family tradition, from his early childhood, Reverend Moon couldn't ignore other people's pain and suffering. He often gave sacks of his family's rice to the refugees passing by his home. He understood that he needed new knowledge in order to reclaim the nation, and so he entered Osan School and transferred the following year to Jeongju Public School. Influenced by his grandfather, Yoon Kook Moon, who was a pastor and also an independence activist, Reverend Moon's love for religion and his country grew.
At the age of 16, young Reverend Moon lost 5 of his 13 siblings. Grieving the death of his siblings and friends, and for the suffering of the nation, the young boy at 16 years of age went up a mountain alone to seek answers from God. On the dawn of Easter morning in 1935, the boy who prayed in tears all night long met Jesus in spirit. When I doubt people, I feel pain. When I judge people, it is unbearable. When I hate people, there is no value to my existence. But when I loved those who acted against me, I brought victory. If you have loved as I have, I will give you the crown of glory. His determination on this day to accomplish God's will became the force that drove him for his entire life. The young Reverend Moon became a completely different person after that Easter morning. He spoke less and spent more time in deep contemplation. When he turned 18 in 1938, he went to Huksukdong in Seoul. Homestay in an unfamiliar land, far away from his hometown for the first time. He entered Gyeongsang Commercial School with a major in electricity, which was the cutting-edge field of study at the time.
요만이가 그저 우리 오빠 공부 실력에 고생 많이 했지요. 그저 눈에 채가지고 맹지 나가지고 우리 어머니 밤낮 자지 못하고 그저 배 짜누라고 그래. 그때 쌀한 마리 이혼시갈지해요. 올싸금이 한 달에 10원이 없게 됐죠. 그때니까 10원이 큰 돈이디요 뭐.
그렇죠.
예, 우리 어머니 어찌나 고생 많이 했는지 몰라요. 오빠를 오셔서 우리 어머니가 나 때문에 고생 많이 했다고.
Going to school on weekdays and to church on the weekends, he sought out the will of heaven and fundamental principles of the universe. His Bible worn to tatters from his study, and his tears from deep prayers soaked the floor. He cried because the pain and sorrow of God and Jesus touched his heart. In 1941, Reverend Moon went to Japan for further study. Thinking that learning about Japan thoroughly would help the liberation of his nation, he entered Waseda University and majored in electrical engineering. Apart from his studies, he voluntarily experienced the lowest kinds of life through working at a dockyard and experienced the highest standards of life by sometimes sleeping at luxurious hotels. In such ways, he trained himself vigorously. Under his motto, "One must govern himself before desiring the dominance of the universe," Reverend Moon worked to unite his mind and body. At the same time, he was very active in an underground independence organization created amongst Korean students.
제2의 3.1운동 어떤 거를 하려고 모임을 가졌었죠. 걔네들이요 얼마나 심한지 한국 사람인데 다니면 꽁무니를 떠야 돼요.
Reverend Moon constructed the main frame of Heaven's Word before the liberation. His preparation to soar through the sky was complete. However, because of his liberation activities, he was captured by the Japanese police. His bones were crushed, his flesh torn as he was tortured brutally. In 1945, the liberation finally came. The tragedy of losing what they once owned, having their children taken away to the Japanese army, the pain of oppression. The sorrow of Korean people during these 40 years was exactly what God had been going through. God, who was ripped of everything by Satan, chained by pain and sorrow for 6,000 years. The God Reverend Moon discovered was not the omnipotent God who casts judgment. God had excruciating sorrow, as he was unable to do anything but watch as his dream of heaven on earth shattered to pieces. It was the parent whose heart had been burnt black from losing his begotten son. God's sorrowful heart. Reverend Moon became determined to liberate God from Satan's shackles and put him back on his rightful throne. This was the promise he made with heaven. Reverend Moon's public life began. He was 26 years old. He began searching for spiritual Christian sects and worked to spread the will of God and the new truth. The joy of Korea's liberation was cut short. The nation was divided into North and South at the 38th parallel line. In 1946, when refugees journeyed south seeking freedom, Reverend Moon went up north, remaining obedient to heaven's command. People who were thirsting for heaven's new words of truth came to Reverend Moon, and his number of followers expanded rapidly. In 1946 and 1948, because of local Christian churches' slanders and the North Korean Communist regime's religious persecution, Reverend Moon was arrested twice and dragged to Daedong Security Office, being charged as being a spy from South Korea. Reverend Moon endures more gruesome torture. Even through his suffering and anguish, Reverend Moon endures the torture by lamenting for God all the pain he had to go through.
세숫대야에 피를 토해놨는데 이 토해인 건지 토했는데 핏덩어리가 둥둥 떴는데 한 세수 때 하나 이렇게 토했어요. 그런데 아버님이 이제는 세상 떠나기 직전이라고. 그러니까 아버님도 말도 못하시고 가만 누워 계시는데 너무너무 불쌍하고 너무너무 비참해서 볼 수가 없었어요.
After 2.5 months of deadly torture, he was sent to a forced labor camp called Hungnam Fertilizer Factory, this time charged with disrupting the peace and order of society. It was back-breaking labor, starting at 4:30 in the morning to fill 1,300 bags of fertilizer in one day. The camp was a place of no return. Even in such a hellish environment, Reverend Moon shared his food with others and took care of his inmates, which gave him the title Prison Saint.
미숫가루 같은 거 저는 이제 놀아먹질 않는 사람이 대부분인데 문 선생은 그렇지 않고 아픈데 안찰 기도도 해주고 그냥 이 교회에 대한 진리 같은 것들 전파를 시켜주고 다른 사람하고는 좀 다르게 행동을 했습니다. 그러니까 이제 감옥 안악의 성자라고 그럴 수밖에 없는 게 아니겠어요.
On June 25, 1950, Reverend Moon was in the camp when the tragedy of the Korean people began. October 14th of the same year was the day he was to be executed. The North Korean army planned to retreat and began killing the inmates systematically. However, Hungnam's gates were opened due to the bombing of the United Nations forces. Reverend Moon left the camp with his new followers. It was 2 years, 8 months after being incarcerated.
"40 years later, on December 6, 1991, Reverend Moon met Kim Il-sung in that very place of death. He talked about the peace of Korea with the very person who sought to kill him. Now, Reverend Moon gives financial support to charity and hosts cultural sports exchange more than any other religious organizations or business companies in South Korea. Reverend Moon's true love embraced even his enemy who tried to take his life. Just like the story of Jacob embracing his brother Esau with love in order to indemnify the sins of Cain and Abel, Reverend Moon used this same philosophy in interacting with North Korea. Reverend Moon visited his hometown in Jeongju. As he laid his eyes on his hometown, deep grief was filled his eyes. After meeting with his remaining family and laying flowers on his parents' graves, thoughts of true love being the only hope filled his being. Reverend Moon's foundation in North Korea blossomed through the Little Angels performance later in Pyongyang, and plays the role of acting as a hotline whenever there is tension between North and South Korea.
On December 4th, 1950, 40 days after he arrived in Pyongyang, he decided to head south. His body was battered after the long imprisonment and forced labor. But he made it out of North Korea even while carrying one of his followers on his back. After 2 months of traveling, Reverend Moon settled in Bomnekgol, Busan. On May 11th of the same year, Reverend Moon began writing The Divine Principle. The Divine Principle reveals the most fundamental principles of God, humanity, and the universe. It explains the entire providential process, beginning from God's creation of humanity, their fall, and God's providence to restore them. On May 10, 1952, when Reverend Moon was 33, the original divine principle was completed. It took 1 year to complete. On that day, a female missionary from a local church came to visit Reverend Moon in his mud hut. She came intending to convert Reverend Moon, but was converted by him instead.
오늘 이 땅에는 못 먹고 못 입고 못 사는 사람이 너무도 많습니다. 이 사람들 잘 먹고 잘 입고 잘 살 수 있는 천국을 이 땅 위에 참 건설하겠습니다 하는, 그런데 막 목이 메어 절 줄 몰라요. 그때에 저는 뭘 느꼈는가 하면은 하나님께서는 들으시고 다 응낙해 주실 것이다, 이런 생각을 하면서 기도의 감명을 많이 받았어요.
In 1954, the Holy Spirit Association for the Unification of World Christianity was founded in Pukakdong, Songdong-gu, Seoul. Reverend Moon had sought out Christian churches, but they only persecuted him for their misunderstanding. Because of their disbelief of the prepared foundation, he had to start anew, putting new wine in new wineskins. He had to make a new beginning to pioneer a new heaven, new earth, and new age. Reverend Moon's words spread like wildfire in the universities. Especially two mission schools, Yonsei and Iwa Women's University, were at the center of this whirlwind. Why couldn't the omnipotent God prevent the fall of man and all the misery throughout history? Was Jesus destined to be crucified? When, where, and how will the Lord come? The headquarters church at Cheongpadong, which was then called Seoul Church, was crowded with people who came with these kinds of questions. Reverend Moon would speak with such fervor that his clothes would be drenched with sweat and cried tears of blood as he prayed, and so the congregation would break out in wailing. The Seoul Church was nicknamed the Wailing Church. As its influence expanded, the persecution by the Christian church became greater, and even the media started accusing the Unification Church of being a cult.
그 당시에 국회의장을 지내고 있던 이기붕 씨의 부인이 이화대학교 부총장 박마리아 씨였어요. 그러니까는 신문이 그냥 며칠 후에 후딱 바뀌어버렸어. 막 우리를 갖다 음란한 집단이다, 벌거벗고 춤을 춘다, 가정을 파괴하는 집단이다, 이렇게 돼가지고 사회에 나쁜 여론이 퍼지기 시작했던 것입니다.
July 4th, 1955. Reverend Moon was incarcerated on the charges of evading the military draft and destroying families. Overflowing with love for humanity, he did not blame or hate anyone. He was released as innocent 3 months later. However, the rumors made up at this time are still being used by Christians as though they were facts. God's providence was harmed, and Reverend Moon took the most critical damage, but he did not make any excuses. Truth prevails in the end. As to stand as a proof to this statement, the Church continued to expand greatly.
Enlightened theologians recognized the value of the divine principle at first sight. Christian Academy House Debate. Yonsei University's professor of theology, Nam Dong-seo, highly praised the divine principle as the most excellent systematic theology in Korea.
The divine principle, in definition, is not a creed of one sect. It is the path of heaven, encompassing the righteous way of heaven, earth, and humans. Therefore, it can be applied anywhere. Knowing the heart of God and Jesus better than anyone else, Reverend Moon has stood in the vanguard of religious reconciliation. In December 2003, leaders from different sects of religions gathered in Israel. to coronate Jesus as the King of the Jews. What had seemed impossible was accomplished. Reverend Moon's spirit of religious harmony has been inherited and developed by his children. Not only Christian pastors, but monks from Buddhist sects, including the Dalai Lama, and Islam imams are joining hands together.
In 1960, Reverend Moon was 40 years old. His holy marriage was held in Chongpadong, Seoul. The groom of heaven who found the principle through tears, shedding blood, in order to indemnify the providence of restoration all alone and now standing victorious. The bride of the earth more pure and beautiful than white lilies, answering the call of heaven. The dream that was never realized since the fall. The joyous day of the relief of heaven's sorrowful heart, the realization of humanity's greatest dream. From this day, Reverend and Mrs. Moon began to walk the path of the true parents, true teachers, and true owners. 7 years after the holy marriage, the two created the model of true peace and heaven on earth. This period was a model course to create the ideal true family that serves God and humanity through the heavenly lineage severed from fallen nature. Reverend and Mrs. Moon set the standard of the true family and then strived to go beyond race, nation, and reach the world. Reverend and Mrs. Moon extended this 7-year model of the public course from the individual level to family, tribe, race, nation, world, all the way to the cosmic level, restoring God's lineage and His original status. Korea was an extremely poor nation in the 60s, with a per capita income of $100. Reverend Moon started an enlightenment program in rural areas together with witnessing efforts of his followers. This eventually led the nation to begin the new community movement. Japan was the first world stage pioneered to spread the words of heaven. Reverend Moon visited Japan 6 years after 1959 when it was first pioneered. He prayed for Japan and led the young people to the path of heaven. The Japanese members risked their lives to spread the principle to university students affiliated with North Korea. Today, Japanese members are the greatest in number in the Unification Church and play an important role in worldwide witnessing. All this would have been impossible if Reverend Moon had not poured so much love into the nation that brought him near to death during the colonization. From the 70s, witnessing in America started upon the foundation created in Korea and Japan. In the early 70s, America was moaning in serious sickness. Young people wandered around without any vision, intoxicated and soiled with drugs and free sex. In the winter of 1971, Reverend Moon left for America. The eccentric pastor from the East began spreading the message of heaven while touring around the nation. After a while, Reverend Moon became an icon for the spiritual revolution of the American society.
May I present the Reverend Sun Myung Moon. 지금 미국이 국제식량한 땅에 떨어지고 뉴욕은 죄악의 도상이요 악마의 도시로 화해가고 있습니다. 미국 전역에 이와 같이 사탄이 도인이 될 때 하나님은 외면하실 수밖에 없고 급기야 미국을 떠나실 수밖에 없게 될 것입니다. 지금이 바로 그런 때인 것을 똑똑히 알아야 합니다.
Leaders were the first to listen. Rekindling the founding spirit of America, Reverend Moon attracted more attention after he was invited to speak at the House of Representatives. "300,000 people gathered at the Washington Monument Assembly.
무엇보다도 무신론에 입각한 공산주의의 위협은 가장 심각하며 이 시간에도 도처에서 침식에 들어오고 있습니다. 이것은 단지 미국만의 문제가 아니고 하나님께 있어 그리고의 모든 종교인과 온 자유세계인들에게 있어 심각하고도 절박한 문제입니다. 하나님께서 200년간 준비하신 미국은 크게 각성하고 하나님께서 분부하신 중차대한 세계적 사명을 다하여야 할 것입니다.
Various young people of transcending religious sects gathered. Americans were now excited about the teachings of Reverend Moon. However, pain and suffering found true parents again in America. Worried about the fast-growing influence of the church, racists and communist sympathizers joined in force to persecute Reverend Moon. They came up with the tax issue. Funds for witnessing work were not taxed in America, which was a Christian nation. However, America had closed its heart. Consequently, Reverend Moon was imprisoned in Danbury. After the Japanese rule, North Korea's communist regime, and South Korea's Christian regime, innocent Reverend Moon was imprisoned for the 6th time.
교회와 기독교와 이 나머진 세계가 하나 될 줄 믿고 감옥에서 하나 못 되는 이 무리들을 하나 만들려가는 내 테리토리 우리의 영토인데 영토에 사는 사람을 새로이 하나 만들 운동을 위해 간다는 것을 알아요.
Mrs. Moon's grief was greater than anyone's.
(1984년 7월 20일은) 정말로 빼서 없애버리고 싶은 날이기도 했습니다. 감옥까지 해방하러 가신다고 당신을 위해서 울지 말고 뜻이 성사되는 걸 위해서 기도하라는 말씀을 누누이 하셨지만 왠지 그런 말을 듣게 될 때에 나도 어떻게 억제할 수 없는 소름이 북받쳤습니다.
Reverend Moon's imprisonment served as the catalyst of a massive movement for religious freedom. The tribulation of Danbury united the American society, especially the Christians, who were divided into many different sects. President Barack Obama's mentor, Reverend Joseph Lowry, stood in the forefront of the religious community demanding religious freedom.
What I do understand is that I'm not secure until his rights are secure. And Falwell is not secure until Lowry is secure. None of us is secure until all of us are secure.
Reverend Moon washed dishes and cleaned his place in the day and read at night. At 3 in the morning, he woke up to pray for forgiveness for the situation and prayed for the end of the Cold War and for world peace. One month before his release, he directed prominent scholars to proclaim the end of communism in Switzerland. In order to end the Cold War, he used the Washington Times to play a critical role in establishing the Star Wars policy and created the public opinion which helped prevent the spread of communism in Central and South America.
Together we rolled up our sleeves and got to work. And, oh yes, we won the Cold War.
Reverend Moon was recognized for his efforts to end the Cold War and fight for religious freedom. In this period, Reverend and Mrs. Moon received 4 honorary doctorates. Reverend Moon was finally released after 1 year and 3 months of incarceration. The wrongful imprisonment helped the Unification Church to create a more solid foundation, hastened the end of the Cold War, and promoted religious alliance. These miracles happened during his time in Danbury. Afterwards, the expansion of the Unification Church went beyond America and reached every corner of the globe. Now, Reverend Moon's thoughts and words are spread across 195 nations in all continents. The Church overcame the tribulations of martyrs in communist nations, being imprisoned by other religions. The foundation for the victory was none other than Reverend Moon's ceaseless sincerity and support.
In 1990, the biggest event in the 20th century happened. It was the fall of communism. On April 11, 1991, Reverend Moon met with Soviet Union President Gorbachev.
I must have forgotten about it during the times of perestroika.
The meeting was held in a lively and friendly mood. Reverend Moon supported Gorbachev, who was working to bring revolution and reformation at the time. The two leaders earnestly discussed about economic cooperation between Korea and the Soviet Union, and also about the peaceful unification of the Korean peninsula. This hastened the end of the Cold War. Later, Gorbachev visited Reverend and Mrs. Moon in Korea. The smiles on the leaders who put an end to the tragedy of the 20th century were bright.
After the liberation, the Korean peninsula was dominated by the ideological battle of left and right. Untouched by the warm breeze of détente, the relationship of North and South Korea is still ice cold. In 1968, Reverend Moon created the International Federation for Victory over Communism. The International Federation's goal was to research, criticize, and overcome communist theory and system, and realize the true ideal of mutual living, prosperity, and righteousness. In 1975, as communism expanded rapidly after the defeat of Vietnam War, blue-eyed foreigners shouting in the streets to save the nation could be seen all over the country. These foreigners were the members of the Unification Church who came from all over the world to participate in the movement. This movement against communism reached its peak in 1975, when 1 million people gathered at the Save the Nation rally held in Yeouido.
하나님이 있다 하는 세계는 하나님 편이요, 하나님이 없다 하고 하는 세계는 사탄과 악마의 세계입니다. 이 두 세계가 부딪힐 때 그 결과는 하나님의 전망을 결정하는 것입니다. 그러므로 공산주의를 쓰러뜨리는 이 싸움은 곧 하나님의 싸움이 되는 것입니다.
In 1980, the International Federation for Victory Over Communism movement in Korea developed into a unification movement centering on true love. In 1994, especially when North Korea's Yongbyon nuclear crisis was at its peak, students from both Koreas gathered to discuss reconciliation in Beijing, China. Under the slogan, "Love is thicker than blood," Reverend Moon created a turning point for the unification movement. At the international level, the movement developed into Causa. Causa was a Godism movement with the goal of supporting South America's anti-communism movement. At the time of President Carter, the communization of the world reached its peak. Reverend Moon played a critical role in helping Reagan become president by defeating Carter, the favored candidate.
이 많은 사진에다가 레이간 파격적 승리, 레이간 그리고 그 위에다가 이게 뉴스월드의 예언이다. 이걸 가지고 레이간 앞에 가져갔지. 선거인 날 아침에. 벌써 레이간이 이기겠구나 하는 그 심리를 전 국민에게 심어준 거예요. 그게 이제 문 총리님의 기발한 대통령 선거 성공하는 작전이셨습니다. 전략이 있었어요.
Washington, D.C., America's heart of politics. Reverend Moon founded the Washington Times in 1982 to correct the public opinion that had been heavily influenced by the left wing. The newspaper gave great influence and strength through the White House all the way till the fall of the Soviet Union in the early 90s.
From the start, the Washington Times was not shy about challenging the more established media outlets. Freedom prevailed in the Cold War, without a shot being fired, I might add.
In difficult times, even more than in easy ones, the voice of conservatism must make itself heard in the media.
Reverend Moon worried more about the world after the end of the Cold War. Can we go beyond the walls of national boundaries, race, culture, and religion, and create a world of perpetual peace and happiness? The question all religions seek for an answer. Reverend Moon proposes International Blessing Marriage Ceremony as the answer. Reverend Moon teaches that through the blessing, humanity can be rid of original sin, be connected to the heavenly divine lineage, and after removing fallen nature through the path of indemnity, we will find the kingdom of God and His righteousness. The blessing marriage ceremony, which started in 1960 with 3 couples, increased into hundreds of millions of couples in just 40 years. Finally, on January 27, 2001, the World Peace Blessing Ceremony was held at the New York UN headquarters. Blacks with whites, wealthy and poor, Japanese and Koreans, Jews and Christians giving their vows. The intercultural, inter-exchange, international blessing marriage ceremony is no longer a unification church ritual. This is receiving attention as the fundamental solution to realize the ideal of one world family under one God. This blessing ceremony has expanded as a movement to recover the family, transcending race, religion, theology, and culture. The United Nations, often dubbed as the world government, though stating to arbitrate the interests of 195 member nations, unceasing sharp conflict between these nations remains so that the UN can hardly work to fulfill its original function. Reverend Moon aims to revolutionize the social system through NGOs and the UN, centering on the blessings of families. The UN's gate was first opened through Mrs. Moon. She proclaimed the dawning of the Age of Women in 1992 and founded the Women's Federation for World Peace and began to renew the UN. Many speeches at the UN followed. In 2000, Reverend and Mrs. Moon spoke together, calling for the renewal of the UN. In 2011, at the UN headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland, Mrs. Moon conveyed the message of peace to every nation in the world. Reverend Moon's main goal for the renewal of the UN is to implement the system of Senate and representatives. In order to hasten the renewal of the UN, Reverend Moon founded the Universal Peace Federation. Transcending the profit of one's own nation, in order to create a solution for world peace, Reverend Moon mobilized his entire foundation for world peace. The original UN is called the Cain UN, and this new organization is called the Able UN. Current and former national leaders from all over the world who support Reverend Moon's peace initiative are participating in large numbers under the title of Peace Ambassador. President Jonathan Goodluck, who became president of Nigeria in July 2000, has been actively participating in Reverend Moon's world peace movement as a peace ambassador. After the inauguration, the President Goodluck invited Reverend and Mrs. Moon and hosted a Universal Peace Federation rally. It was to find a solution for the country's racial conflict and for the revival of Africa.
One family under God. All UPF activities are aligned with this one vision, and its foundation is spread all across the world. International NGOs created by Reverend Moon are active in many fields. The UPF is working internationally for the renewal of the UN and nationally for the education of peace ambassadors and the unification movement. Along with the Women's Federation for World Peace, which is opening a new horizon for a new women's movement as an UN NGO, other NGOs consisting of students and other volunteers are striving to create a better world. True peace begins from spiritual healing. Heaven and Earth Training Center, where you can experience training and meditation centering on unification principle. Reverend Moon is working hard to lead not just Christians, but representatives from all major religions to overcome their differences and work together for the unity of humanity. The foundation for the equalization of technology is being laid in both industrial and economic fields to create a mutually prosperous world. All fields from medicine, beverages, machinery, construction, shipbuilding, and even leisure tourism. Reverend Moon gives special attention and much investment into the ocean industry and aviation industry in order to solve world hunger and to prepare for the space age. Media outlets in Korea, Japan, and America are providing fast and accurate information and leading the formation of a righteous public opinion. Raising global leaders with international minds who show love for heaven, human, and the nation. Schools from preschool to graduate schools are in operation in Korea and America. Here, the gate to the world of learning and truth is open. Culture, art, and sports which transcend all barriers. The Little Angels and Universal Ballet make the world beautiful through Korea's traditional dances, songs, and heavenly art. Martial arts combining East and West. Songnam Ilhwa, the top soccer team in Asia, and the world-level international soccer tournament, the Peace Cup. Reverend Moon is creating the world centering on the culture of heart, which transcends all national boundaries.
Reverend Moon also greatly influenced Korea's automobile and electronics industry. In 1980, he brought automobile parts manufacturing technologies from Germany to Korea. And in 1988, he bought Japan's Wacom Electronics and led the development of Korea's electronics industry. After the mid-90s, Reverend Moon expanded to South America. In 1997, at age 77, Reverend Moon explored the rainforest of the Amazon and pioneered the path humanity will tread in the new millennium. Pantanal, Brazil still contains the wonders of ancient nature. Here, Reverend Moon is educating the community culture of a peaceful world and is preparing the foundation for the leisure industry of the future. There is another place where Reverend Moon has been paying much attention from the year 2008. That place is known as today's Sodom and Gomorrah, the Sin City, Las Vegas. Reverend Moon has been investing his time and money to turn Las Vegas from Sin City to Sun City. This is because he knows God's heart, which yearns to save every last soul in the deepest depth of hell. Furthermore, he is attracting the attention of the world with the Bering Strait project, under operation along with the Korea-Japan undersea tunnel, which are both being worked on. The nations concerned are discreetly discussing the matter. The project, which is called the World Peace King Bridge and Tunnel, will connect Russia and America, and it symbolizes the effort to destroy the barriers made by Satan. Tongil Group exists to support this ideal. Reverend Moon's countless international activities of various different fields have one main purpose. This is to tear down all barriers and realize God's ideal of creating one family under God.
And so, in effect, the Unification Church will be the church which inherits the foundation of Christ to complete the work which Christ started. And so the Tongil Foundation is playing the supporting role to that. It will support the church, the Unification Church, and its growth and its development so that it can reach the point where it can really inherit the foundation of Christianity worldwide.
Reverend Moon hosted innumerable rallies proclaiming God's message. His words changed individuals, renewed societies, and serve as the driving force behind the changes of nations. Mrs. Moon, who silently helped him from behind and started standing beside him from 1992 and accompanied him in more than 1,000 international speaking tours. When Mrs. Moon was on international speaking tours, Reverend Moon congratulated her on the victories through conference calls.
Congratulations to you, congratulations to parents.
Open mouth, job, 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 job. Job, job,
From the wilderness of Africa to the UN headquarters, Reverend Moon went to all corners of the earth. Despite any dangers of South American mountain sicknesses or African endemic disease, he brought the words of heaven to the ends of the earth.
Reverend Moon has lived by God's words his entire life. His will can be seen through his calligraphies. All the calligraphies written on the first of every year from 1960. The calligraphies written at offering ceremonies for events of buildings and monuments and such give us a glimpse of Reverend Moon's heart and philosophy. In each stroke and letter is his unchanging determination for the completion of God's will and his sincere hopes to restore God's homeland. Begins at early dawn, 5 a.m. morning, Hundake, started in 1997, and has become the tradition of Unification Church. Reverend Moon treats all people with the same love, whether they may be one person or thousands, young or old. He normally speaks for 3 to 4 hours, sometimes 12 hours. He has even spoken for more than 20 hours at times. His disciples remain seated without eating anything. Reverend Moon speaks to his children with all his energy. Sometimes he tells others to stand up and share their stories or sing. Even after 12 hours, Reverend Moon continues without paying attention to the passage of time, his voice trembling with concern.
The collection of his speeches has already exceeded 500 volumes. If we combine all the different types of his books, there are more than 1,000 books. God's will is in his every word. His every sentence contains God's ideal for creation, humans' fall, Jesus' life course, and the tears of blood that had to be shed for the providence of restoration. When reading Reverend Moon's words, one cannot help but cry when coming to understand the sorrow and pain of heaven.
여러분 모두는 참 부모님의 대신자, 상속자들이 되시고 생애의 필승을 기록한 자서전과 실적, 베푸신 말씀 이 모든 것을 상속하여 여러분의 생애에도 참 부모님과 같이 기필코 승리하시기를 기원하는 바입니다. 그래야 참 부모님의 탄생한 한국이 하나님의 족과 고향으로 완성완결 완료되는 것입니다.
The words of truth make our character mature, and a life of true love makes us holy. Reverend Moon's words are the path, the truth, and the life. These words are our textbook from which we must learn. In March 2004, an amazing event took place at the U.S. Capitol building. Along with major religious leaders, UN ambassadors from many nations, and U.S. congressmen, and many world leaders of different fields crowned Reverend and Mrs. Moon as the Peace King. Reverend Moon's life and works, despite all the persecution, moves the hearts of the righteous. The crown of glory was offered to God. Under the title of Peace King, Reverend Moon held coronation ceremonies in Korea and America in January 2009. This was the day the pain of 6,000 years due to the human fall was relieved, and the day the sovereignty stolen by Satan was reclaimed back to God's side. The promise he made with heaven at 16 was finally fulfilled at age 90.
아버님, 제일 소중한 한자 뭡니까? 한번 물어봤습니다. 그러니까 아버님께서 수만 한자 중에 이제 한순간에 그냥 딱 한 한자 쓰셨는데 그거는 바로 정성성자였습니다. 정성성자. 말씀은 이룰 성. 그러니까 말씀을 이루어야 된다. 이런 사람 되어야 된다. 아버님께서 정말로 말씀을 이루어주셨던 분입니다. 하고 평생 동안에 정성으로 사셨던 분이에요. 하나님 위한 정성, 세계 위한 정성, 평화 위한 정성, 사랑 위한 정성, 이런 정성 들이시면서 사셨던 분이에요.
Walking the way of the will was a thorny path of tribulations. The biggest tragedy was sending their 5 children to heaven. Adding to the sadness of losing 5 of his family members when he was a young boy, his pain multiplied. Is there more indemnity left to be paid, which required the life of my firstborn son? His life more precious than my own. though we know about the spirit world. The bearing of each child is unbearable, tearing my heart to pieces. However, Reverend and Mrs. Moon held their tears back for God and for the Providence, even when they wanted to cry their hearts out. Reverend Moon himself came close to death 7 times. He often traveled by airplane to spread the words of heaven quickly to as many places and people as possible. He almost died 6 times in prisons, and the last time was by helicopter. This unexpected accident was reported through the world on July 19, 2008.
오늘 빗속에서 통일교의 문선용 총재가 탄 헬기가 경기도의 한
While he was flying to Cheongpyeong, his private helicopter crashed and exploded. Shortly afterwards, however, all 16 passengers evacuated safely. People called this a miracle. Heaven protected them from Satan's last attack. Reverend Moon told his feelings about the incident to 3 of his grandchildren.
얘들이 왕오빠 왕엄마 왕엄마 찾는 3말을 듣고 선생님이 나는 얘들 죽을까 봐 말이야 17분 이내에 일어나서 데리고 도망 못 가면 없어진다고 알았어 17분 이내에 꿈 같은 얘기야.
The ocean has a special place in Reverend Moon's heart. Whether in rain or snow, even when the waves raged, he always spent time in the ocean. On days without great events, he would frequently go out to the ocean. Through fishing, he understood the heart of heaven and set plans for the providence. The ocean and fishing was another form of prayer and devotion. He spent his days with heaven in one hand, the earth in the other, seeking to correct the course of history. Trotting through the mud while bearing the burden of history on his back. His days of pioneering the path of heaven, which God and humanity have long awaited, living strictly in line with heavenly principles every moment of the day.
Six times of wrongful imprisonment and numerous persecutions, even sacrificing his flesh and blood to heaven, shattering his heart to pieces. His determination to bring about the liberation of God and the salvation of humanity became steadfast while out on the ocean. Remaining ever silent, the ocean consoled Reverend Moon's heart. It helped him overcome all the suffering. The ocean has been his lifelong partner and the representative of heaven, helping hope spring up like a fountain.
두 마리, 두 마리.
두 마리.
두 마리.
어머 어떡해. 어떡해. 빨리 네트.
오케이.
Now, bases for oceanic operations are established all around the world. They are founded in order to solve problems of world hunger and the energy crisis through the ocean. Reverend Moon also invented the resin molding method and created a leisure boat to hasten the dawn of the age of ocean leisure.
The path of restoration filled with tears of blood, his cheerful spirit helped to endure the hardships. He sings and dances when he is happy, anywhere and anytime. He enjoys songs that sing of love for the homeland and country. Just as songs and dances transcend barriers and connect people's hearts together, he sincerely wishes that humanity will become one. The new heaven, the new earth, and the new age have dawned. The painful past of striving to achieve the will of heaven on this earth now shines as the beacon for the new millennium. Liberating God from his inexpressible agony, which was so deep and vast that even if the sky was paper and the ocean was ink, you could not record it all. Not much time is left now until the foundation day of God's homeland, Chanilguk. There will be no more sins, no more tears, a place overflowing with peace, freedom, happiness, and true love. In order to establish his kingdom and its righteousness, Reverend Moon continues to march forward mightily on the path of the true parents of humanity, the true teacher of history, and the peace king of God's homeland.
All right, let's give a round of applause to the parents. Kindly turn on your camera. And yes, that is the life of the parents for such very long time of hardships and endurance just to build a world full of love. So, and we are inheriting that kind of environment, something like that. I hope so. Oh, nga pala. So let's picture na tayo kanina, but let's take one more picture together with Randy. Yes. So kindly turn on your camera. Ayan siya, before and after. Is wala pa rin si Ate Corazon. Si Bea, wala. Wala ka, Bea? Ng, camera? Alright, so, tayo natin si Okay, so, 2x2 picture. 2x2. Formal. Smile, 1, 2, 3. Next. Baragi. 1, 2, set. All right. Thank you very much. So let's proceed to reflection. How do you feel about the video? About the lecture? Sino mag-volunteer? Wala. Tinatanong lagi pero wala. Ate Lina, can you choose? Could you please choose? Nakamute ka, te.
So, si Heaven.
Burrito. Okay, let's welcome Heaven.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. So I really enjoyed watching the video. It definitely told me a lot more about True Parents Life course. I mean, and I already knew some of their journey, especially by reading the autobiography and True Mother's autobiography as well. But really being able to see it and hear and learn more about it, and that's really, I guess, it would express true parents' heart and I guess their long journey throughout the past decades and how much they suffered for all of us. So I think that really inspired and motivated me to really unite with them and help in accomplishing their will. So that was my reflection for tonight. Thank you both.
Heaven.
Ako na-miss ko si Father. Ako na-miss ko si Father. Ganun eh. Biglang ganun.
Nakakamiss kasi Father, di ba? Kasi dati kasi, we have Hondoke and then live or video from to parents, to Father. Then we watch in IPLC. Miss those times. You could feel the heart of the parents watching the video. That's what I haven't realized, how they invested so much. Like they can just live their life happily, but why they choose to sacrifice just for us? That's how big their heart. And yes, another one. Let's welcome Aki.
So, sa reflection ko for today is yung mga learnings ko about dun sa mga ano yung reasons ng mga titings, ano reasons ng mga holy songs about dun sa mga nagsa Sunday service, what's the purpose ng mga ganun. I remember sometimes when nung holy songs when you have to sing, my mother always tell me like sing kasi paminsan di ako nakanta kasi lang nakikinig lang ako ganun. So my mother always told me to sing and she said that singing is like preparing your heart daw sa Sunday services. Because if you don't sing daw, parang boring daw yung Sunday service. So it's kind of true too, based on my experiences. Kasi pag, I kind of feel when not singing, it doesn't feel like enjoying yung Sunday services. So you really have to sing your hearts out para, may enjoy mo yung Sunday service. Parang galing yung understanding ko and how I experienced that part. And yung mga titings, ganun. And then after that, after watching that video, really inspires kasi hearing from me the story of your father, kung paano, how he struggled a lot. Yung video na yan, didn't explain a lot more how your father did his life course. Kasi sobrang gruesome. Many persecutions, many almost death. Muntik ka na mamatay. So, and then, well, after watching yung outcome nangyayari na yung, well, I mean, not the outcome. hindi pa naman I think tapos yung anong part niya. Pero how through his achievements na ang laki ng ginawa niya, ang dami na fulfilled, looking na lumaki na yung Unification Church, and then they President Reagan from US na nanalo siya sa elections. Then Gorbachev from Russia or Germany? Russia. So yeah, and how the Cold War and stop. So it's really inspiring to watch. Kahit ilang beses ko na yung nakita, kahit ilang beses ko na narinig yung life course ni True Father, it's just really inspiring to hear na grabe itong isang tao na to na tiniis niya lahat ng ginawa niya para lang sa achievements niya. So it's really inspiring to hear. And after siguro doon rin kay True Mother's life course nung sa niya about life course, just read. So it's really inspiring how powerful they are na talagang pinupush forward nila para sa providence na to. So yeah, yun yung reflection ko. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Yes, Father met those leaders, dangerous leaders, North Korea, Russia, but Father conquered them because of your Father's love towards them. So yeah, we've realized those investments, those sacrifices of your parents. So we could therefore say na it's how painful it is for two parents for God if one of us were going to leave the movement and do our own thing. Yeah, right. All of us have this important role in building synagogue, in building true parents' dream. All of us have this important role, and we could do more our best. All right, so how about Ate Corazon? Ate Corazon, are you there? Okay, so let's proceed to next later now. Welcome, Vivian.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. My reflection for tonight, like what Akane said, I should enjoy learning more about the traditions, and uh, also uh, also watching the video was really inspiring. Uh, for the traditions, we've actually we've learned about them before, but not in too much detail. So I really like how we actually learned about it more uh, in this session. Um, and for the video, I just found it really inspiring as well. How uh, how true parents did all of that um, uh, for the providence, and yeah, that's all. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. So I guess everybody feels the heart of true parents. Yes. And let's do something that me myself also doing somehow a little things that could really support your parents, especially now, your mother. Mother is working really hard, and father also working in the spirit world. So yeah, I always have this question: what are the things that I need to support more the family? It's quite frustrating, but if you're not doing anything, but little by little, yeah, just simple things, doing mission, then would really help your mom. So for more, guidance, let's welcome Mr. Randy.
Hello, good evening brothers and sisters. Good evening nga ba sa lahat or some are not evening. So, anyway, yeah, after knowing the principle and then knowing the tradition that we have and then watching True Parents Life course, we can really see how grateful we are, right? Makikita talaga natin na kung gaano tayo kaswerte. Because after 6,000 years, finally we can really directly receive a word coming from the representative of God. Word wherein it is not just a word for us to be inspired. It is not only for us to receive a message, but the most important is we are receiving love coming from God. Aju? Okay. And the only thing left for us is how much we really wanted to own it. That's why Father said, He already completed everything. Perfected, completed. So that is Father. How about us? Okay. That's why the next challenge to us is how much we really I wanted to make my parents happy. I wanted to make my sorrowful parent to feel that I'm here. How much we can really do and how much we can really say that. So yeah, brothers and sisters, this is now the moment that we needed to prove that we really learned and we really understood and make a life centering on the principle, right? So next meeting you will be receiving uh, the final lecture, how we can really totally be engrafted to God and through parents. And that's the only way, right? True parents fight against Satan. True parents fight against all odds in life, in the physical world, or even all kind of persecution for the sake of letting people be connected, be engrafted to the lineage of God. And that is only through the blessing. Starting from the matching and then going to the blessing, and then after receiving the blessing, completing all the ceremonies until we can really make ourselves become a blessed central family who inherit the position of true parents in front of our own tribe. And once we can complete all of these things, that's the only time that we are really practicing the principle, overcoming the differences our within our partnership in the future, especially as a husband and wife, because all of us will be going to that, right? And how much we wanted to share this blessing to our brothers and sisters. That is always what true father is saying us. Live for the sake of others. Practice and experience God's love through having a lifestyle of living for the sake of others. But it is not just a simple living for the sake of others, but there must be an utmost sincerity associated with it. That even though nobody wanted to move, the only thing that you can do is, I love my parents, that's why I have to do this. Aju? Aju, brothers and sisters?
Aju.
Kaya nga kung titignan natin, di ba? The most crucial that we have is kung lahat they are moving towards one direction. And then if we feel that that is not the way God wanted us to really let him experience joy and happiness, how much we wanted to do it, how much we wanted to own it and offer it to God. That's why Father proclaimed that we can now pray in our own name. How much we wanted to contribute individually. What can I contribute? What can I do so that I can prove to God that I am his son, I am his daughter, and ultimately receive a release order coming from Satan, saying, you are not under me anymore. But Satan will say, I cannot control you anymore because you sacrifice for others like unto Reverend Moon. So brothers and sisters, this is the challenge to us. The Bible said, many are called, but few are chosen. And among the chosen, only few will become victors. Only few will really remain. Only few will really finish until the finish line. Right? So the question is, we have completed the divine principle, we have learned the divine principle, and we have actualized the divine principle. Can we continue and can we pass the same tradition, the same culture, and give a better opportunity for our next generation? Okay? And that is what always true Father is saying to us. Become a person that is living in the new era. Era of Chunilgok. When we say era of Chunilgok, what is that? What is the meaning of that? We can now freely practice living for the sake of others and totally experience it. The more we give, the more we enjoy giving. And it is now our time, right? Before, seems to be shameful if you are the only one who will practice a lifestyle of living for the sake of others. Am I right? But now, if you will not practice a lifestyle of living for the sake of others, that's the time that you will become shameful. Why I cannot do this? That's why true Father guided us, giving us the divine principle in order for us to live in accordance to the era that we are in right now. Okay, so we are now in the era of attendance. When we say era of attendance, this is now the time that we have to really proclaim, God is my parent, because true parents have guided me and have cleansed me, and I can start all over again. No matter what past I have, no matter what things that I have done in the past, the most important is how much I've learned so that I can develop and I can become a better or filial sons and daughters for God and for our true parents. And push us to expand. Let people feel and experience the same feeling that we have. Okay? So nowadays, my dear brothers and sisters, many things are to be harvested. But the sad reality is only few are harvesting. Right? Only few are gathering. That's why this is a challenge to us. How much we wanted to participate to let people be connected. How much we can pull them. My brother, my only brother, let's come together. and let's enter together the kingdom of heaven. Not looking if this brother or sister is my enemy or what. As long as this is sons and daughters of God and true parents. And that is the message that we can see from True Father, from the video of True Father's life, right? He never looked at individual, but he always connect individual to God and true parents. That these are my brothers and sisters, these are my sons and daughters. And likewise with us, how much we wanted to do this. How much we wanted to actualize it. Not just think of doing it, not just think of learning it, but the most important is how much we really make it as a way of life. Aju? So brothers and sisters, yeah, it is not yet the end of our seminar, but this is just the beginning of the reality of how much we can really walk the path of bearing the seal of heaven and then letting people see the seal of heaven that God is living together with us. True parents, they have offered everything so that we can make this world become a better place for us to live in. So this is the challenge that is in our hands, in our head, and most especially ahead of us. Okay, that's why we have just opened the way for you to study the principle. But after this one, how much you wanted to continue to discover what is really meant by the principle as a way of life. How much I still wanted to discover more individually. Not because of the seminar, but because I wanted to really experience and feel God's heart and practice it as a way of my life. Aju? So brothers and sisters, our participants, and even us as a lecturer, it is really important to really rethink. Okay. Go back to the basic that is being offered to us by True Father, by true parents. That's why even True Mother is always guiding the true grandchildren that they have to go back and study the principle again. Because that is the basic in order for us to understand the heart of God and true parents. And if we continuously study, okay, there is a big promise that we can really create a better atmosphere, better environment, not only for us, but even for our next generation. Aju? So brothers and sisters, let's move forward, just like what True Mother said. Let's move forward without stopping. Let's bring all our brothers and sisters back to God. So with that, good day to everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have a forceful session. And yeah, let's do more and enjoy while doing it. So let's few announcements. So next meeting, yeah, yung ano nga, we have final exam after ng lecture. So next meeting din, ang mag-lecture is si Tita Dulce, Significance and Value of the Blessing. So you could hear it directly from our PFD director. And after this, the lecture, final exam. All right. And next meeting after that one is your graduation. Okay. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. Let us close this session with a prayer. Okay, Kuya Julius.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Our loving Heavenly Parent and our victorious true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind, good evening. We are so grateful for this moment as we watch the life and works of our true parents on how he started from the scratch, and now we can see this worldwide foundation, and we are so fortunate that we could be in this era of our true parents that could really give us this transformation, give us the blessing that could really bring about transformation for everyone from this fallen state into an unfallen state, and also transition from this evil world into an ideal world, substantially here on earth. And our true parents is our model for us to also be victorious in fulfilling our tribal mission. How we also do our part in really giving life, giving our heart, our love to bring these people to our troopers, to the blessing that all of us would really unite to bring about the substantial kingdom of heaven. And we are only following the victorious foundation of our troopers. And the only thing that we do is absolutely unite based on this foundation of absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. And our true mothers now have been working to really realize everything. And we have to unite with the vision of our true mother to really bring everything into substantial, in reality, substantial kingdom of heaven, the Chunilguk. And we are so grateful for everything, for all the love, the inspirations that we always receive, and the guidance, and all the blessings that you have showered to us. And every day that we have these inspirations, enlightenment, and encouragement again to really do our part. And it really touches our hearts that our troopers have been suffering a lot, receiving many tortures, imprisonment, and also persecutions. And we really understood also the heart of God who had been suffering for so long because of his lost ideals. And our troopers have been working, sacrificing himself with our true mother to bring about liberation to our heavenly parent. And also we have to also have that kind of commitment and mindset that also we could also be able to liberate our heavenly parent. And thank you for again this enlightenment that we receive this moment by watching our true parents' life and works. And also pray that we could really move on forward to bring about victory in fulfilling our responsibilities. Again, we thank you for everything, especially for this moment, as again we end up with this, with our brothers and sisters in this session, fruitful session that we have this evening. My name, my wife's name, Julie Santana, Creator Central Blessed Family. Pray all these things. Aju.
Aju. Thank you very much. Good night, brothers and sisters. Sleep well.
Hiren, mayroon ka ba nung nung yung significance and value of the blessing. Kasi maganda rin yan pang sa mga yung invited natin ba?
Meron kaya?
Pwede mong pasend din sa...
Sige po.
Thank you.
Good night, brothers and sisters. Have a sweet dreams for those who are sleeping, who will be sleeping. See you next meeting.
Yes. See you tomorrow.